Welcome to Discussions with the Writer Fred right here at Black Video Network in hot, and I mean hot, San Antonio, Texas. They're saying for the next 5 days, it might be 5 years, we're going to have temperatures over 100. And I mean, it just drains you of all your energy. But I have enough energy to carry on my show today with my special guest, Mr. Chuck Slaughter, who is one of our leading community activists in the area to get black people registered and to vote. Chuck, welcome to Discussions with the Writer Fred. Glad to have you, my friend.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get started. What is it? Why do we have to work so hard to get? I know this is not for all black people, but for a number of black people who just don't take an interest and just won't vote.
Yeah, and that's a big challenge. It is a big challenge, and we have to identify those black people that are not going to vote. And as you know, the black vote has been, supported by our senior citizens the most. They're the ones that carry the black vote. And
that's not only in the black, that's white, everybody. That's white folks too.
Oh, okay,
old folks vote.
Okay.
They sit around and say, "Oh, honey, is it time to vote?" You know?
Yeah, okay.
So go ahead.
I agree.
Okay.
But I think the blacks that are not voting are the working poor, those that are living in poverty, and they have lost hope, and they just accept whatever the government passes out to them.
What do you call them, the working poor? Are they working and they're just not making enough money?
That's exactly right. They're working, they're not making enough money. They getting their stuff from the welfare and stuff like this to help them out, but it's not, making them feel a part or have an opportunity to get a piece of that, what they call it,
American pie.
American pie. Poverty to me is modern day slavery, because they take from this man and give it to this man. Whether they give it to a white man or a black man, they can give them that money. They live, they work and pay their payday. So they don't concentrate on things that really are important to them. They don't realize that by not going out and voting, you might be losing some of the things that the Democrats have set up for you in the past, like the child tax credit is going to come up, and Republicans are going to want to get rid of it.
When's it coming up, Chuck?
Well, I don't know when it's coming up, but it has been talked about in the past. I did a little red card on things that will have an impact on the people living in poverty. Back when I was doing the Unlock the Vote, but when I had the National Poverty Reform Coalition, we did this little red card so we could educate them. Like when we was going into Wheatley courts and having town hall meetings with them.
For our audience who don't live here, what is the Wheatley courts?
The Wheatley courts is a San Antonio Housing Authority complex that provides housing for the low-income citizens of our city.
Okay.
But we go in there and give them a voice, and that's what we have to do. That's what we're getting ready to start doing here in San Antonio now, between now and 2024, getting ready for 22-24.
How do you plan on doing that?
Well, when we was doing it under NPRC, we partnered up with the San Antonio Housing Authority, and they had no problems getting us in touch with the people in those management in those housing complexes that we wanted to go in, and they was fine with it. They let us have a conference room. They invited the residents in. We had open floor discussions and stuff like this. So you listened to them, their notes, but we didn't have anything, all the resources and tools we needed to work on it. But we did encourage them to get out and vote.
Don't you have to do a little more then encourage. People need incentives. People need incentives to vote. Some people need incentives. Some people automatically will go vote. But some people, you have to, I don't know if this, you know the law, voting laws better than I do,
Right.
but can you, let's say you get VIA to give you $1,000 worth of passes, and then you could go in and say, if you vote, we'll give you this pass. That's an incentive. And hopefully after they do that, one time, they will start to vote more. Can you do that kind of thing? Do you know?
I think recently Texas has taken some kind of action on things of that nature. Because we used to give a stipend out to people to go out and register people to vote. You know, they could go out and register 10 or 15 people, make them a quick, $30, $40 a day.
But that's only half the process.
Yeah, I know.
You get people registered, but how do you get them from the registered to the voting polls?
Okay, that's a good question to ask, because our good friend, Miss Margaret Richardson, Dr.
Professor Richardson.
Professor Richardson, yes. Her, what's it, Power One San Antonio.
Yeah, Power of One.
Education.
Right.
That's a part of the program I want to do. I've talked to her before about it. And, of course, I'm a part of the Power One as well.
Right.
So I support educating them, what's on the ballot and stuff like that. But I support we need to do more in the beginning. So BEVA, which is the Black Independent Voters Association, we go out, we register them and everything, get them signed up. But then we pass them on over. The ones we register, we pass them on over. We want to pass them on over to the Power One for education.
Okay, but, I don't want to sound like a naysayer, but here's the problem. You could say we're going to have a Saturday session on educating how voting, everything about voting, what's on the ballot and everything. You get 20 people over there. But let's say we got so-and-so rapper coming into town. They'd pack the place. Now, the question is, how do we get beyond that so that we're not always ready to have a good time, party, and not take on any responsibility for what you're talking about? How do we do that? I don't know if you have an answer. I don't know if anybody has an answer. But I think it's a dilemma we're facing.
Well, I think that to do that, resources has to be available to really bring in. You don't have to bring in a rapper or something like this. You may want to bring in Denzel Washington.
But that's my point. Why should we have to do that? How do we make people realize you need to vote? Voting is more important than going to a concert where they're rapping or going to see Denzel Washington speak. Your voting is more important than that. That's one of the most important, especially, and I want to talk about this after our break, what's happening throughout all the states when the Supreme Court threw out the fact that certain states rezoning and everything had to be approved by the Justice Department. Everything's gone, I think it was about 2012. Everything's gone haywire. These states are going crazy.
That pre-approval.
Yes, pre-approval. They threw that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Republicans been working, man.
Yeah, we'll
They've
get
been
that.
working, and they got it going on.
Yeah, we'll get that in second session. But I want to get back to how do we do that? And I know I'm putting it on you, Chuck. You're out there more than most people. You're dealing in the area, and I know it's a tough question, but how in God's creation do we make that the most important thing people can do right now?
We got to remind them of the transformation that America is going through right now. And if we lose democracy, we lose our freedom and our civil liberties. Do you want to lose those things? You got to take responsibility, like you say, be responsible, go out. Our ancestors, that fought, bled, and died, of course, for this right that we have today. If we can't go out and vote for no other reason than that,
that should be reason.
that's reason enough.
Okay.
They didn't die for nothing.
Yeah. We're going to take a break here, but we come back. Let's talk about what the Republicans are doing. Okay? It's a discussion with writer Fred. We're going to take a break, and I'll be right back with my guest, Mr. Chuck Slaughter.
2021 is complete. Good or bad, you made it through. The year of many firsts. It will not be easily forgotten. The Black Book Yearbook will help you capsule the year that was 2021. Own your part of history. Get your yearbook today at blacksinsanantonio.com. For the latest news and community activities, visit our companion site, blackvideonews.com, celebrating over 10 years of documenting the community.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Welcome back to Discussions with the Writer Fred right here at Black Video Network. And I'm here with my guest, Mr. Chuck Slaughter, who is one of the leading community activists in the San Antonio community, trying to get our folks out to register and also to vote. We talked about a lot of that in the first session, Chuck. So let's turn to the Republican Party and talk about what they're trying to do. Let's talk about Texas. What are they doing? How are they trying to prevent us from voting?
Well, the redistricting, gerrymandering, the suppression of the votes, trying to get Secretary of States in places where they can overturn a legitimate election.
Right.
They're doing a lot of damage to this country, and here in Texas.
But you say to the country, I'll buy that, but specifically to us.
To us.
To us. In Texas here.
Yes, the Republicans are doing, they're doing a lot of damage to black people.
Now, aren't they also removing some voting areas, polls where you can go to vote in minority areas?
They probably are. I remember back in the day, one of our community leaders, Mr. T.C. Calvert Sr., fought and went down with Maldow to keep the Barbara Jordan, not the Barbara Jordan, but the Claude Black Center
as a voting
spot on the east side. It's there because they had to go to court to make it happen. Okay, so yeah, they may be trying to decrease the number of locations you can go and vote, making it difficult for, I don't care, I have never had to have a sandwich or a bottle of water while I was waiting to vote.
I know, I haven't either.
I don't think that matters at all, that you can't do this, that don't. But we, as black people, we need to vote by any means necessary. Don't let nothing deter you from getting in there and voting.
I agree.
I mean, they ain't much come up here with a policy from Texas that said, Republicans, that said you could carry no more than 3 people to the polls to vote in your car.
That's what they've done?
They have said that before.
But it hasn't passed.
I don't think it passed, but that's one of the antics that they're using to suppress the vote. I've been trying to put on the march to the polls. If we're going to march, let's march for a good reason. Let's march to the polls to vote. I would love to see about 100 or 200 or 300 people going up Commerce Street to the Claude Black Center and registering to vote.
That'd blow their minds, wouldn't it?
The most I carried was about 40 when Representative Hawkins came and she brought some people with her, and we did about 40 up there.
And that would blow their minds, wouldn't it?
It would show that we are unified.
Yeah. So there is a way for us to get around that, but it's on us. I agree that the Republicans are doing some terrible things, but bottom line is no one can stop you from voting. If you're an American citizen, no one. And they have to have a place where you can go to vote. Yeah. And so even if they set the place to vote for black folks over in the white part of town,
go over there and
vote. Get on buses and go over there, blow their minds. They make sure you got it back over here.
That's right. That's right. That's right. We got to be intellectual radicals right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's a good word.
And we can't go out here and, you know, showing ourselves the way we did back in the day. We're intellectuals, so, and we got to keep them on point. You know, when we talk to them, you know, we can't let them get under our skin and provoke us to act a certain way. That's the way certain people do. You know, I don't want to get into a racial thing here, but actually,
if that's what it is, hey, this is discussion with the writer friend, telling our story. We tell our story our way.
But that's what white people do. It's always the person that retaliates that get caught, but that person that started it, you know, as just like in the public schools today. I don't like it that they punish both children for a fight. You know,
and not the one that started it.
Not the one that started, because one of those children was exercising his constitutional rights to defend himself, and one was the bully.
Right.
But the school, because they can't figure out who it was, they punished both of them. So one of them was punished wrongly.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, but getting back to what we was talking about on the Republicans, I've been saying for years, and I feel this very strongly about this, and looking at the history, I think, but I've said that the Republican can no longer afford to ignore the black vote, and the Democrats can no longer afford to take it for granted.
Well, that's where you and I differ a little, my friend. I hear this argument always that Democrats are taking our vote for granted. No, they don't. I don't think they do that at all. I think they pay attention to what we're saying and what we're doing. Now, sometimes when they're outnumbered in the Congress, there's nothing they can do if the Republicans are in charge. So I don't see, I guess let me say I'm a little biased because I worked for two of the best Democrats, one in the Senate and one in the House of Representatives. Senator Birchby and then Congressman Perrin Mitchell. And Perrin was black congressman from Baltimore, and I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from By too. But I can remember times when there would be a bill on the Senate floor, and black leaders at that time, Jesse Jackson, and the guy who was over Urban League at the time, and NACP, Benjamin, who was over, I can't remember.
Benjamin Hooks?
Huh?
Benjamin Hooks.
Yeah, Benjamin Hooks. They would come to me and say, Fred, we need to have By introduce this amendment to that bill. He wouldn't question it. He would do it. In a very conservative state, he would do that. So, and then Perrin was just a great congressman. He made more black millionaires in this country than anyone else when he created the 8A program. So I hear you. Let me just say, I'm a little prejudiced.
It's okay. I mean, that's what being American is all about. American is all about.
Right.
You have that right. But I still say that the Democrats, even though they gave a lot of social programs to help those along the way, me personally, I think they've done a lot towards dismantling the black family too.
Oh my gosh.
The welfare program came up under the Democrats, and the father had to leave the house. That's why the father left the house, so that the mother and the children could be taken care of.
If the father had been taking care of business, they wouldn't have needed welfare.
And that's
if it had been working, so
if
the father comes in there and tries to live off the welfare check the mother's getting. Come on, man. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. Now the other thing.
Let's be fair.
Okay.
Let's understand the father had to face the racism as well that kept him out of the workforce.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, I do.
I don't know about that. I know. You know? I can't talk for the South because I never lived here. This is the first time I lived in the South. I can talk for the North. Okay, I lived in Detroit. I lived in L.A.
Detroit, they had the automobile factories up there. That we didn't have nothing but cotton fields.
Right.
Cotton
fields.
So
we're talking about different parts of the country.
Yeah.
But I hear that argument that welfare destroyed the black family.
It did.
Welfare did not. Welfare made sure that a black woman with 2 or 3 kids could feed them. Could feed them.
But she couldn't have a man in the house.
If the man's working,
No,
he
couldn't be there. He couldn't be there.
Okay, let me ask you this. Should he be there laying on the couch all day long, doing nothing, and wait for that welfare check to take care of him?
They doing it today.
That's not what I'm asking you. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm saying, was that good?
Was it good? I don't depend on how you look at it.
Well, I don't
I mean, I'm
I'm
not going to just say that the black man just literally walked away from his family, and it wasn't that way. You know, I think what happened was, if he's laying on the bed, that means somebody didn't give him a job.
Maybe just laying on the bed, not trying to find a job.
Maybe.
So it goes both ways.
Okay. Let's look at the reality of it, though.
Let me give you your scenario.
Okay.
He's just laying on the bed, doesn't have a job. So should the government allow her to get that check and he live off that check too?
Well, if the government can't do anything about solving racism and discrimination in the workplace, yes.
Okay.
And I'll tell you something else. Let me tell you something about the Republicans. You know, and you go into any immigrant's business today, when George H.W. Bush was the president, he called himself reforming the EEOC. And then he said, come back and told us that, well, the burden of proof is on the company now to prove that they didn't discriminate against you. But then he turned right around and took away the quota system. That was the way to prove it. So now, that was a policy for the immigrants that was coming to America. So you don't have to hire them black folks. We white folks don't need you, so you just hire your people and we'll protect you from the lawsuits that may be brought down against you for discrimination against the black folks.
Okay.
You don't see no black folks and no immigrant business working.
Hold your point. We got to go to another break. Discussion with the writer Fred here, and it's getting hot and heavy in here. We'll be right back with you to continue this debate with Chuck Slaughter.
You know you missed it. It's back. The all-white martini party, Saturday, August 20th at the Henry's House Convention Center. Masks, wear them if you got them. That means they're optional. Come enjoy another night of fun, music, and dancing. Voted #1 event of the year. Saturday, August 20th at the Henry's House Convention Center in beautiful downtown San Antonio. Now it's time to get your groove back from one night only for the grown and sexy. It's the all-white martini party, the restart. Let go.
Veterans, when you're struggling, soon becomes later, becomes someday, becomes when. Don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Hello, this is Cornell with Frost Bank.
Hi there, this is Terry with Frost.
Good evening, this is Franklin.
This is Robert with Frost.
Hello, this is Rosemary with Frost Bank.
Nothing to do this week? Don't miss another event. Go to blacksinsanantonio.com for our event calendar. The home of the largest business directory in San Antonio with an African American focus. Sign up today for our weekly e-blast and text message alerts. Help us make this a better community. Connect, empower, grow.
Welcome back to Discussions with the writer Fred right here at Black Video Network, again in hot San Antonio. But the conversation in here was getting almost as hot as it is outside, so we have to cool down a little here and maybe change our subject just a little by word of my boss over there, the producer and owner. No, he didn't do that. He didn't do that at all. Okay, but let's, this is our last subject, Chuck, so our last session. So let's talk about what's happening locally here and in the state. We have a pretty contested race for supervisor It's between Judge Sakai and the lady.
Very.
Yeah.
Trish Dewberry.
Trish Dewberry. Yeah.
The
What do you
county
think
judge.
about? What do you think about that race?
Well, I don't know much about Miss Dewberry, so I can't. I know she's a Republican, but Judge Peter Sakai, I've had some interactions with him. He's a real nice guy. And he's family oriented, and he does a lot to protect the children in this county when he was a county.
Are you saying Trish Dewberry doesn't do that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I can't say yes or nay. I don't know.
Okay.
But I do know him, and I haven't gotten a lot of info on her, so I really can't make a.
So maybe it'd be a good idea for me to invite her back on my show, so that the community can know more about her also.
So she's been on the show before?
She was on the show before. Very, very gracious.
So you have it in the archives, so I can go in there and take a look at it.
Yes, you can. Very gracious lady. Very knowledgeable. She is a Republican. But like you said, you want to see black people become independent, but I don't agree with you on that. So you could go, you could go either way.
You don't have to. But I think that should be our mission, to move our culture forward towards independence. And you say independence from who? Independence from other people's resources.
Oh, you're never going to get there.
Why?
Because we don't share the resources that way.
Why can't we start?
Plus the fact that we talked earlier in a session about poverty, how that impacts us. A young lady who's getting a welfare check and food stamps with 3 kids and nobody there to help her can't afford to give any resources to a political. Let me say, she won't give any resources
All the resources we want from her, the only resource we need from her,
what's that?
A vote.
Okay, I agree with that.
All right.
Yeah.
But now, I was going to say something.
We're talking about Trish DeBerry and Peter Sakai.
Yeah.
Okay, we can go on. We can go on from there.
Ahead, yeah.
Let's go to the big race. Beto O'Rourke and that guy who calls himself the governor. No, I'll be fair. Abbott. Okay, what do you think?
Well, looking at what Abbott has done to Texas so far as suppressing the vote, and other issues like abortions and stuff like that, even though in a sense I don't have a horse in the race on abortions, but if that's what the law has given a woman the right to do,
they just took it away from her.
And they just took it away from her, and it might spell trouble for the Republicans.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, because the women, like you say, they're out there working hard. And I'm not taking anything away from what the women are doing, but I'm just saying the way it's being promoted, the only thing they can promote about a black man, so to speak, is go to BET and just see all the negative stuff you want to see about black men and women.
I agree. That's
terrible. That is a main in way to branding our people today.
Absolutely.
See,
that guy did a terrible disservice when he sold
and
BET.
That's what you got to figure out. Where's our black leaders today? They've all sold out.
Okay, let's get back to, that's another session. I have to have it back again to talk about that. Let's stay on. So you're saying that Abbott is a bad.
I don't think he's good.
Okay.
I mean,
but on the other hand, O'Rourke's going to need our vote, isn't he? He's going to need a big black turnout to beat the governor.
One thing that former city councilwoman Maria Barriozola said one time, if you don't go and market try to get out those people to go vote, speaking of the people in poverty, you don't invest into them, they're not going to get out there.
That's true.
So he needs to come in. They need to bring people into this community. I maybe need to have a rally or something for the poor and bring him to speak to the poor.
And make sure he comes.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing this out right now.
Of course.
O'Rourke, folks, bring him here to Black Video Network and we will interview him right on this show, and he's going to reach a lot of black folks out there that follow us. So That's my little plug. So
good. I like that.
Yeah. So let's move on from local to national. Do you think the way things are going now, the Republicans are going to take over the Congress and the Senate?
That's a toss-up. I have to keep my faith in the American people, that we're a lot smarter and brighter than the Republicans.
Oh, so you're not talking about all the American people?
Huh?
You said we're smarter than the Republicans.
I mean, all Americans.
Well, that would include the Republicans, right?
Well, yeah, there's some good Republicans out there.
Okay.
Trust me. I mean, I've been treated good by some Republicans. Not all Republicans. But, hey, if Liz Cheney was to run for president, I dang sure give her a hard look. Because she's playing a hell of a game right now.
She's so conservative. Remember who her father was, Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney. I know she's conservative, but what her performance right now against Trump is winning her some points.
Well, she has no choice because Trump is heavily backing the lady running against her in Wyoming. So why not let it all hang out?
I don't know how she became chairman.
Okay, then let's talk about Mr. Trump, the impeached Trump in 2004. What do you think? You think he's going to run?
He's probably going to try to run, but I don't see him getting reelected.
Do you think the Republicans will nominate him? Are they that afraid of him?
No, they may be. I don't know. Pence is already attacking him. So I think the Republicans are eventually going to come to their senses and say, hey, let's not throw everything away that we built. We worked so hard to build up.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
So we're getting ready to close. So any word you want to give our viewers, how they can contact you with what you're doing, feel free to do it.
Sure. I am the founder of the Black Independent Voters Association, and I think in order to empower the black vote, you know, we need to have a block of independent voters with our own agenda that we take to the candidate that's asking for our vote. And that's the vote that that's the person that we will work for and support and try to get him in the office so that, you know, we can get some of the things that we need for ourselves and for our children. We got too many issues that are not being addressed by politicians today. We got issues in the school. We got that pipeline from the classroom to the prison system still functioning in the school. Nobody's addressing it. Not even our black leaders are doing anything about it. And as far as the economy goes, we got so many billionaires and millionaires in this country, black billionaires and millionaires in this country. I don't know why we're not creating black communities anymore, because we don't really have any strong black communities. It's all integrated now. So that weakens our voting and everything. You know, so
thank you for being on Discussions with the Writer Fred. We have a lot to do, don't we?
We have a lot to do. And I'm just a little boy. You know, I'm not.
No, you know, you're an important voice.
I'm speaking for those that don't have a voice.
And that's why your voice is important.
Yeah. But I came up.
It's easy to get on the bandwagon of those who are already there. It's
important to understand that raised up in America where you was denied, got a poor education that's still going on, and trying to go through society with being undereducated is a real challenge to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
I just will not let anything hold me back. I went and did the best I could, and I'm here today.
Okay.
So,
thank you, sir,
for
being here with us today.
Appreciate you.
This is Discussions with the Writer Fred, telling our story our way.